COVID-19 pandemic has brought unprecedented changes to our usual ways of living. But the Department of Education remains unfazed by these challenges to fulfill the mission of Sulong Edukalidad, the rallying call for national effort to deliver quality basic education to all Filipinos, which involve aggressive reforms in the 4 key areas: the K-12 curriculum review and update, improving the learning environment, teachers upskilling and reskilling, and engagement of stakeholders for support and collaboration to move forward together as we prepare the education system for the future. The call for Sulong Edukalidad will continue, and we have built the framework of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, or the BELCP, to put the needs of the learners at top priority. DepEd's BELCP is the major response and commitment to protect the health, safety, and well-being of learners, teachers, and personnel. The plan aims to provide opportunities to continue education even in these trying times with a BELCP in place, supported by an unprecedented number of diverse stakeholders from the academe, media, industry groups, NGOs, business and private individuals. Sulong Edukalidad will be able to sustain the aims in its reform for quality basic education. In our journey towards quality education, we have established the 4 pillars of aggressive reforms from the start, and we have been continuing to progress in these pillars. In improving the learning environment, we took action in the construction and rehabilitation of school buildings, ensured the availability of learning materials and equipment, and prioritized our last mile schools. The challenges of the pandemic also brought to light the urgent need to upgrade our ICT infrastructure to service the needs of education. In terms of the teachers upskilling and reskilling, we were able to establish more innovative professional standards for teachers and school heads. We have aligned the professional development of teachers with their career progression to track their development as part of the National Educators Academy of the Philippines transformation. With the launch of the Education Futures program, where we will be focusing on innovative actions and solutions to improve the state of our education, we are now more than ready to start a new journey and continue our fight for quality education for all Filipino learners. Finally, we've given high importance to the engagement of stakeholders for support and collaboration. In support of this, we have convened the Philippine Forum for Accessible Quality Basic Education, or the Education Forum, which leverage other partnerships for education quality and strengthen partnership with the Philippine Normal University as the country's national center for teacher education. The department has also been developing a professional development program for teachers and school leaders in order to equip them with the skills, materials, and data that will allow them to help their students prepare for PISA 2022. This intervention consists of the following components: online training for teachers and school leaders, development of learning materials and practice tests for students, deepening the analysis of the PISA 2018 results, and supporting school-level action research. Now that the year is about to end, our commitment to Sulong Edukalidad will continue and will be far from being gone. With a lot at stake, considering our new knowledge and experience from this year's challenges, we are equipped to face a new future. As we head on to the future where we will face many challenges and uncertainties, the department will always be the guardian of every Filipino learner's right to education.
Sino ba ang hindi naapektuhan? Sino ba ang hindi nag-alala? Sino ba ang hindi nalito? Lahat tayo ay naapektuhan. Lahat tayo ay nag-aalala. Lahat tayo ay nalito. Dahil binago ng pandemyang dulot ng COVID-19, ang paraan ng pamumuhay ng lahat ng mga Pilipino saan mang sektor ka nabibilang. Tumigil ang panandalian ang ating mga nakagawian. Tumigil ang lahat ng uri ng transaksyon. Tumigil ang lahat ng operasyon ng mga paaralan. Nakalilito. Nakakakaba. Paano na ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan? Paano na tayo sa hinaharap? Opisyal na nilulunsad ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon sa pangunguna ng Office of the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction ang DepEd Teaches. Ito ay isang online na programa na gagabay sa mga guro, tagapangasiwa, magulang at mag-aaral hinggil sa mga pagbabago sa batayang edukasyon ngayong new normal. Ang DepEd Teaches ay angkla sa sulong edukalidad na nakatuon sa apat na pangunahing pangangailangan ng mapunyaging reforma tungo sa makalidad na pagtuturo at pagkatuto. Una, pagre-review at pagsasapanahon ng kurikulum ng K-12. Ikalawa, pagpapaunlad ng kapaligiran pampagkatuto. Ikatlo, paglinang ng mga bagong kasanayan sa mga guro. At ang ikaapat, ang pakikipag-ugnay sa mga stakeholder para sa suporta at kolaborasyon. Sa pamamagitan ng virtual learning platform, ang DepEd Teaches ang magsisilbing bukas na komunidad ng pagsasanay na titipon sa mga guro, tagapamunong pang-edukasyon at sa sinumang may pagnanais sa pagtataguyod ng kalidad na edukasyon sa bansa at sa pagtagumpay ng bawat Pilipinong mag-aaral. Ang mga opisyal, education specialist, learning content expert at outstanding teacher ng DepEd ang magiging tagapanayam na magbabahagi ng kanilang kaalaman at kasanayan sa kurikulum, pagtuturo at pagkatuto, pagtataya at lahat ng kaugnay na mahalaga sa proseso ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto sa new normal. Bilang mga frontliner ng classroom, inaasahang magiging aktibo ang mga guro sa programang ito. Ang mga tema at paksa ay angkop sa kanilang pangangailangan at konteksto sa pamamagitan ng accessible na platform, ang social media. Sumali na sa OUCI family sa DepEd Teaches kung sama-sama mapahuhusay pa ang mga guro, kung sama-sama higit na malilinang natin ang mga mag-aaral.
Marahay na adlaw sa Indogabos, pagbati ng mga Bicolano.
Buenas tardes a todo, pagbati ng Shabakano.
Maayong hapon sa inyong tanan, pagbati ng Bisaya.
Naimbag nga malem, pagbati ng Ilocano.
Isang maalab at mapagpalang hapon sa aming mga giliw na manonood ng DepEd Teaches. Kami ay nalulugod na muli namin kayong makasama sa isang hapong napapanahong talakayan para sa mga isa namang episode ng temang Hindsight, Insight, and Foresight, Lessons and Ways Forward for the New Normal. At isa ring mainit na pagbati sa ating mga manonood na nakatunghay ngayon sa iba't ibang social media platforms tulad ng DepEd Philippines Facebook page, DepEd Tayo, at DepEd YouTube channel. Magandang hapon, Binibining Ana. Ano nga ba ang aasahan natin at ng ating mga manonood para sa araw na ito?
Magandang hapon, Ginoong July, gayon din sa lahat ng tumatangkilik ng DepEd Teaches. Noong nakaraang linggo ay napagtuunan natin ng pansin ang classroom assessment o pagtataya. At para naman sa pagkakataong ito ay mas malawak na saklaw ang ating bibigyang linaw at ito ay hinggil sa system assessment. Ating nalalaman Ginoong July na may iba't ibang uri ng assessment o pagtataya base na rin sa mga datos na nakakalap natin upang masuri ang kalagayan ng pagkatuto ng ating mga mag-aaral at gayon din ang pagtuturo ng ating mga kaguruan. Napakahalaga ng system assessment dahil isa ito sa mga batayan para malaman kung gaano nga ba kabisa ang mga pangkasalukuyang pulisiya at programa ng kagawaran ng edukasyon.
Sang-ayon ako dyan, Binibining Ana. At ngayong araw na ito, ating tuklasin ano nga ba ang naging kalagayan ng ating pangkabuang pagtataya o system assessment sa bansa, lalo na nang magsimula ang pandemya. Ano ang mga naging mga pagbabago at ano pa ang mga palatuntunan na patuloy na isasakatuparan at ano ang aasahan natin sa hinaharap na magiging takbuhin ng ating assessment para sa buong bansa. Para sa ating mga guro, dapat lamang na may malalim din tayong pagkaunawa sa kahalagahan ng high-stake assessment. Hindi lang tungkol sa classroom assessment. Dito, maaari nating mahinuha ang kalidad ng ating intended at implemented curriculum. At sa pagsasaalang-alang ng iba't ibang datos mula sa classroom assessment hanggang sa mga high-stake assessment, ay nagiging giya ito para lalo pa nating linangin, paigtingin at paunlarin ang estado ng edukasyon sa ating bansa.
Tumpak ka dyan, Ginoong July. Kaya naman napapanahon ng usapang ito lalo na nung makita natin ang mga resulta ng ating national at international assessment sa mga nagdaang taon. Pero bago pa lumawig ang usapang ito, tayo muna ay tumungo sa isang pampamukaw sigla na gawain na naaayon pa rin sa ating pakikiisa sa pagdiriwang ng buwan ng wikang pambansa ngayong buong Agosto. Ano nga ba ang nakahandang palaro para sa ating manonood Ginoong July?
Noong nakaraan, ay puro tayo bugtungan, Binibining Ana. Ngayon naman ay susubukin natin ang kaalaman ng ating mga manonood sa mga pamosong tula ng ating pambansang bayani, walang iba kundi si Jose Rizal, na kilala rin na mahusay na manunulat. Babasa kami ng panimulang saknong at inyong huhulaan kung ano ang pamagat ng tula na isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Aking inuulit, mayroon kaming 4 na saknong na babasahin at inyo po lamang huhulaan ang pamagat ng tula. Maaring ang tulang ito ay orihinal na naisulat sa wikang Espanyol o mas kilala natin sa salin sa Ingles. Ang aming babasahin ay ang Tagalog na bersyon ng akda. Pero kung ang inyong mga sagot ay ang orihinal na pamagat, ay maaari na rin nating tanggapin ang ganong kasagutan. Gaya ng nakagawian, atin lamang isusulat at itatype sa ating comment section ng inyong kasagutan. At aming inaasahan ng lahat ay makikilahok para sa makabuluhan at makawikang gawaing ito. Handa na nga ba tayo, Ma'am Ana? Atin ang pasimula ng ating pamukaw na gawain.
Salamat Ginoong July sa malinaw na pagpapaliwanag ng panuto. Tandaan, ang aming babasahin lamang ay ang unang saknong. Hulaan ang pamagat ng tula na isinulat ng ating pambansang bayani. At para sa unang tula, kay tamis mabuhay sa sariling bayan, lahat kaibigan sa silong ng araw. Buhay kahit simoy na buhat sa parang, aliw ang mamatay, umibig ay banal. Ano kaya ang pamagat ng tulang ito? Meron kayong 30 segundo para hulaan ang tamang sagot. para sa tamang sagot, ang awit ni Maria Clara o Canto de Maria Clara. Ang awit ni Maria Clara o Canto de Maria Clara na isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal na may sali ni Virgilio Amario, ang tulang ito ay buhat sa isang kabanata ng Noli Me Tangere na may pamagat na ang pangingisda na inawit ni Maria Clara, kaya gano'n na lamang ang pamagat. Ito'y punong-puno ng pag-ibig sa bayang tinubuan. Talagang nagsisiwalat ito ng kanyang damdamin ng pagmamahal sa sariling bayan. At dumako naman tayo para sa susunod na pagbasa.
Isang magandang panimulang tula nga iyan, Binibining Ana, na hango sa bantog na nobela ni Dr. Jose Rizal na Noli Me Tangere. Nawa ay marami sa ating mga manonood ang nakakuha ng tamang kasagutan. At ngayon, para sa ating ikalawang tula, atin nang ipakita sa mga manonood. Itaas ang iyong noong aliwalas. Ngayon, kabataan ng aking pangarap. Ang aking talino na tanging liwanag ay pagitawin mo pag-asa ng bukas. Ayan, atin ang ipakita ang tamang kasagutan. Ang tulang ito ay pinamagatang Sa Kabataang Pilipino o may orihinal na pamagat na A la Juventud Filipina sa wikang Espanyol. Yan, ang tulang ito ay hango sa kabataan o para sa mga kabataang Pilipino na isinulat ni Gat Jose Rizal nang siya ay 18 taong gulang. Inaalay ni Dr. Rizal ang tula para sa mga kabataan na siyang pag-asa ng bayan at hinihimok nito ang mga kabataang Pilipino na gamitin ang talino at kakayahan para sa ikabubuti at ikauunlad ng bansa.
Napakagandang tula, Ginoong July, at nakita ko din sa comment section na may mga nakakuha ng tamang sagot, lalong-lalo siguro ang ating mga Filipino teachers. Ang mensahe ay walang kupas, hanggang ngayon ay buhay na buhay ang diwang ito. At para sa ikatlong tula, atin ang ipakita. Sa may kalawakan ng pampang ng tanak, lambuting buhangin. Sa paa ng bundok na balot ng kulay na lunti sa tingin. Ang hamak kong kubo'y doon itinayo sa maayang lilim. Niyang kakahuyan upang sa gubat ngang payapay hanapin. Ang pamahinga niya ring isipan, tighaw sa panindim. Ano kaya ang pamagat ng tulang ito? At para sa tamang sagot, atin ang alamin. Ang tamang sagot ay mi retiro, ang original na pamagat sa wikang Espanyol, o my retreat sa Ingles. Nakita ko sa comment section na may mga nakakuha din ng tamang sagot. Sinasabi na ito ang pinakamahabang tula na isinulat ni Dr. Rizal na mayroong 120 linya o 24 na saknong. Ito ay maituturing na autobiographical poem at dito na isusulat niya nung siya ay dinala sa dapitan. Sana nagustuhan ninyo ang mga tulang aming inihahandog ngayon at para sa huling o sa susunod na tula, Ginoong July.
Isang bagong kaalaman para sa akin yan, Binibining Ana, na ang tulang Mi Retiro ang pinakamahabang tula na isinulat ni Gat Jose Rizal. At ngayon, para sa ating panghuling tula, atin ang ipakita sa ating mga taga-subaybay. Paalam na, sintang lupang tinubuan, bayang masagana sa init ng araw. Edeng maligaya sa ami pumanaw, at perlas ng dagat sa dakong silangan. Maaari na ninyong i-type sa comment section ang pamagat ng tulang ito sa loob ng 30 segundo. At ngayon, atin ang ipakita ang tamang kasagutan. Ang tulang ito ay may pamagat na Huling Paalam o Mi Ultimo Adios sa wikang Espanyol. Ang Huling Paalam ang Tagalog version ng My Last Farewell o Mi Ultimo Adios na isinalin ni Jose Gatnaitan. Hindi matiyak kung kailan isinulat ni Jose Rizal ang kahuli-hulihang tulang ito. Ngunit ayon sa tradisyonal na paniniwala, sinasabing isinulat ito ni Rizal ng gabi ng bisperas ng pagbaril sa kanya. Gayunpaman, ito ay naisalin sa iba't ibang wika, hindi lamang sa mga katutubong wika sa ating bansa, kundi na rin sa mga banyagang wika. Ang tulang ito ay tigib o puno ng kalungkutan, pagkat na may iwan na niya ang kanyang mga minamahal sa buhay at mawawalay na siya, si Dr. Jose Rizal, sa kanyang sariling bayan. At sa harap ng kamatayan, wala siyang hinihiling para sa sarili. Ang lahat ay para sa kapakanan ng kanyang kababayan at kapakanan ng ating bayan. Ayan, at dito na nagtatapos ang ating munting pamukaw sigla na gawain. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikilaho. Nawa ay napukaw ang inyong damdamin sa mga napakagandang mga tula na isinulat ng ating pambansang bayani. Ito ay naglalaman hindi lamang ng ating kasaysayan, gayon din ng mga mabubuting aral na nagtuturo sa atin ng pagmamahal para sa ating inang bayan. At ngayon, sa puntong ito, tayo ay dumako na sa pinakamahalagang bahagi ng DepEd Teaches, ang pagtalakay sa paksa na Hindsight, Insight, and Foresight, Lessons and Ways Forward in System Assessment.
Malugod naming inihahandog sa inyo ang ating mahusay na tagapanayam sa araw na ito na walang iba kundi si Director Nelia V. Benito. Siya ay nakapagtapos ng BS Psychology, MA Psychology at PhD Psychology sa University of Santo Tomas, Manila. Siya ay isa sa mga nakatanggap ng Foreign Fellowship Award of the Philippines-Australia Project in Basic Education in Monitoring and Evaluation sa Australian Council for Educational Research sa Melbourne noong 1997. At napagkalooban din siya ng scholarship grant ng Asian Institute of Management on Leadership Development Program noong taong 2000 at 2008.
Sa pangkasalukuyan, siya ang Philippines National Program Manager for the various international large-scale assessment. Isa rin siya sa namamahala ng mga pangkasalukuyang national assessment of student learning for the K-12 Basic Education Program. Sa loob ng 15 taon, makikita natin ang mga pagbabago at pag-unlad ng system assessment sa bansa sa ilalim ng kanyang pamumuno. Mga Ginoo at Binibini, atin ang salubungin ng masigabong palakpakan ang Director 4 of the Bureau of Education Assessment ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon. Walang iba kundi si Dr. Nelia V. Benito.
Rationale. Today's episode focuses on system assessment under the K-12 program of the department. In order to prepare the learners for a world that is drastically changing, the Department of Education's trust of continuing education, despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, is guided by a master plan to install aggressive reform in key areas of the Sulong Educalidad rallying call for a national effort for education quality. The Sulong Educalidad program has 4 core components. Next slide, please. First is the K-12 curriculum review and updating, the improvement of the learning environment, teachers upskilling and reskilling through a transformed professional development program, and engagement of stakeholders for support and collaboration. At the center of the Sulong Educalidad is the Filipino learner and the commitment to help them achieve their full potential and realize their dreams through quality basic education for all. For DepEd to continuously improve its system, relevant and timely evidence shall be gathered to achieve this goal through the conduct of system-level assessment. System assessment measures the effectiveness of an educational system. It is designed to determine the degree to which the system goals are achieved across region, curricular areas, and learners. It may also provide evidence and data for monitoring and evaluation. The rationale of system assessment. The Department of Education ensures the continuous improvement of its systems to ensure that all learners have access to quality basic education. Sound information and data are required for the achievement of this goal. In the context of the K-12 Basic Education Program, reforms in curriculum and instruction had been introduced, and this has been the focus of previous episodes of DepEd Teaches. The K-12 curriculum provides new to effectively perform its function to ensure the continuous improvement of teaching and learning processes. DepEd issued DO 29 series of 2017 on the policy guidelines on system assessment in the K-12 Basic Education Program. This policy articulates how system performance will be assessed. Included in this policy is a schedule of assessments until 2023 to 2024, at the end of which the first cohort of learners would have completed the full K-12 basic education program. So what is the importance of system assessment? The system assessment policy provides the basis for the conduct of various strategies and processes for the following purposes, which articulates its importance. First, establish baselines for the basic education system and the implementation of the K-12 curriculum in schools in terms of teaching and learning. Second is to monitor the implementation of the K-12 curriculum in schools in terms of teaching and learning. Third is to measure effectiveness of instructional reforms that are part of the K-12 basic education program. Fourth is to generate reliable data for purposes of international benchmarking. Fifth, provide basis for the improvement of programs for learner development, curriculum implementation, and school effectiveness. And lastly, provide evidence that will aid policy formulation, planning, and programming of the division, regional, and national levels. Who will manage the system assessment? The Bureau of Education Assessment manages system assessment as per DepEd Order number 52 series of 2015, that is the new organizational structures of the central, regional, and school division offices of the Department of Education. It enumerates various general office functions, which includes to develop and manage the national education policy for educational assessment and quality assurance, and establish policy standards and guidelines relevant to assessment. The Bureau shall align the assessment instruments to the newly implemented curriculum, considering its content, performance standard, and learning competencies. Alignment between test items and the intended curriculum is important because a high degree of alignment provides reassurance that the tests are assessing what they should. The system assessment approaches are two. First is the internal measures by conducting national developed tests, and through external measures by participating in international large-scale assessments or ILSAs. System assessment under the K-12 system uses both national and international large-scale assessments. For the internal measures, there are four stage exit assessments: ELNA for grade 3, and National Achievement Test for grades 6, 10, and 12 for elementary, junior high school, and senior high school. The results of this assessment shall be utilized to determine if learners are meeting the learning standards, analyze patterns in language development, together with other language, literacy, and numeracy assessments to develop appropriate intervention programs. Formulate evidence-based policies and plans for mother tongue-based multilingual education, instructional packages, practices, and learning environment provisions that impact learning outcomes. Help provide information to improve instructional practices, identify teacher training needs, initiate and conduct research on MTB, MLE instructional practices and learning environment provisions that impact student learning outcomes. Assess, evaluate effectiveness and efficiency of education service delivery using learning outcomes as indicators. And lastly, to provide empirical information as basis for curriculum, learning delivery, assessment, policy reviews, and policy formulation. The coverage of the assessment tool for grade 3, which is the Early Language, Literacy, and Numeracy Assessment, or ELNA, includes the following essential skills: language and literacy using learning area content, and numeracy skills such as counting, estimating, calculating, measuring, and problem solving. It is assessed in 19 mother tongue languages. The National Achievement Tests, on the other hand, are for grades 6 and 10, which covers 21st century skills of information, media, and technology skills, learning innovation skills, communication skills, and life and career skills using learning areas as content: English, Science, Mathematics, Filipino, and Araling Panlipunan. The grade 12 assessment covers 21st century skills and the core senior high school learning areas of languages, humanities, communication, mathematics, science, social science, and philosophy. The test design is progressive in nature, wherein test items measure varying levels of skills. On the ways forward for international measure, to ensure that its assessment systems, processes, and mechanisms are robust and adaptive to the changing landscape of accountability, systems can be improved through the advancement of psychometrics and technologies such as the use of computer adaptive testing. Next slide, please. In line with this, BEA shall explore computer adaptive testing in designing its assessments to capture precise learning outcomes that are needed by DepEd for informed planning and decision-making processes. In addition, the Bureau shall review its testing modalities and adopt hybrid testing to accommodate both paper-based and computer-based testing whenever applicable. Computer-based assessments are already used widely in many e-learning environments. In fact, we used this mode of assessment in the administration of PISA in 2018, as well as the English proficiency test for teacher applicants beginning 2020. This option answers the concern of different internal measures brought by the pandemic. Currently, BEA is piloting a computer-based assessment for the NAT or the NAT and for PEPT. To upscale its infrastructure and mechanisms, one of which is the conduct of remote proctoring, live or automated, using artificial intelligence, BEA shall collaborate with its assessment partners to materialize these plans. The Bureau is in the process of utilizing remote proctoring using artificial intelligence. It addressed the current problem in terms of test administration in online modality. AI-integrated computer systems can ensure the authenticity of the test by preventing the examinee from indulging in unfair means during the assessment. For the external measures, international large-scale assessments, or simply ILSAs, are crucial and reputable macro assessments that focus on key domains to look into the cognitive and non-cognitive aspects of a specific grade level. Some of these assessments that the Philippines has participated in are PISA, the CPLM, and the TEAMS. One of the department's thrusts to address the challenge of quality is the decision to join international large-scale assessments, or ILSAs. The objective is to look into the mirror and find out how the Filipino learners compared with the rest of the world and generate important data to deepen our understanding of the many factors that impact on student performance to guide our reforms for quality. The department would also like to gather indicators of student characteristics and proficiencies, as well as contextual data to allow interpretation in broader contexts. The Republic Act 1053, Section 15 on Commitment to International Benchmarks, and the DepEd Order number 29 series of 2017 Guidelines on System Assessment in the K-12 Basic Education Program are the legal basis on Philippine participation in ILSAS. The commitment to international benchmarks, the DepEd shall endeavor to increase the per capita spending on education towards the immediate attainment of international benchmarks. Towards this end, the DepEd shall seek to engage local government units to efficiently use the Special Education Fund and other funds to advance and promote basic education. Implement programs that will enhance private sector participation and partnerships in basic education, and propose an annual budget allocation in accordance with these goals. And this is further explicated in DepEd Order number 29, series of 2017. The ILSAs that the Philippines has participated in previous years are PISA 2018 and 2019 teams and 2019 CPLM. PISA, or the Program for International Student Assessment, examines the extent to which 15-year-old students have acquired key knowledge and skills that are essential for full participation in modern societies. PISA tests show how students can apply their knowledge to real-life situations and problems, rather than testing their knowledge or recall. Themes or trends in international mathematics and science study aims to provide countries with rich information on curriculum and instruction, home and school contexts relevant to science and mathematics. Aside from cognitive achievement, TEAMS also studies students' context for learning mathematics and science based on questionnaires completed by students and their parents or guardians, teachers, and school principals. This is to provide a more meaningful link between the learner's team's performance with pertinent variables. The CPLM, or Southeast Asia Primary Learning Matrices, aims to set a common approach that would help CMEO member countries to better understand the status of grade 5 students' learning achievement in reading, writing, mathematics, and global citizenship. CPLM also gathers contextual data from the students, parents, teachers, and school heads of sample schools to determine other factors that shape student learning. The assessment target and domains of PISA and TEAMS and CPLM are different from each other. Every 3 years, participating countries in PISA test their 15 years old in the three main assessment domains of reading literacy, mathematical literacy, and scientific literacy. For each testing round, each computer-based assessment, there is a focus on one particular domain. In 2018, the focus is reading literacy. Additional domains are assessed from time to time, such as the assessment of global competence in 2018 and creative thinking by 2022. The team's assessment is designed to test students in grade 4 and grade 8. Countries can assess grade 4 or grade 8 or both. The Philippines opted to participate only for grade 4 in 2019. The assessment mode used was paper-based. The students' overall achievement in mathematics and science is reported across 4 international benchmarks by major content domains in mathematics and by cognitive domains of knowing, applying, and reasoning. Contextual data from students, school heads of sample schools, teachers, and from parents were likewise gathered. The Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics, or the CPLM, aims to measure how Filipino learners fair versus other Southeast Asian learners. The mode of assessment used paper-based assessment. The key domains of the assessment are reading literacy, writing literacy, and mathematical literacy. Included in the 2019 assessment is the student's perception of global citizenship, home, school, teacher, and student contextual variables to determine factors that shape student learning were also gathered. So what is the importance of the ILSA data? This can be mapped across the four pillars of Sulong Edu Kalidad. Next slide, please. The K-12 curriculum review and updating. We can use the ILSA findings as basis for curricular review and updating. Second, to provide information data to generate strong interface for curriculum reforms, pedagogy, and assessment with a strong focus on classroom-level assessment, in-depth study of the ILSA results relevant to correlates and predictors of test performance. It can also give greater emphasis on early learning as a critical key stage to develop foundational skills, addressing the barriers to effective implementation on the use of mother tongue from K to grade 3 and transition to English and Filipino in grade 4. Strengthen analysis and utilization of assessment data, including field-level monitoring and research to continuously inform program innovations, especially in the changing context of education such as COVID-19 situation. On the improvement of learning environment, the ILSA data can provide credible and reliable data as basis for improving the learning environment. It can give better understanding on the key factors, school-based and non-school-based, influencing teaching and learning so that appropriate policy measures and interventions can be undertaken. Encourage review and implementation of policies and programs at the elementary level to address student bullying and learners' personal and mental well-being, and look into factors that affect the performance of learners at specific grade level. On teachers' upskilling and reskilling, it can promote appropriate teachers' professional development for teaching using real-life situations, application of higher-order thinking skills, including critical thinking and problem-solving skills, inquiry-based approach, and integration of technology. It can generate systematic teacher professional development programs and school leadership support. It brings better focus and clarity to improve quality of instruction rather in specific domains. Provide exposure of learners to varied types of test formats specifically on constructed response items. On the engagement of stakeholders for support and calibration, encourage encourage stakeholder support and collaboration to implement actionable plans on the factors that affect learners' readiness for instruction and academic performance. Promote intensify advocacy programs and campaigns on the importance of parents' role in their children's education. As the COVID-19 pandemic ravages education systems, it is important to have several options for the country's continuous push for quality education. ILSA data with the addition of the school, student, and parents' context questionnaires can offer reliable evidence for policy discussions to develop and enhance risk management and mitigation approaches in times of education disruptions. The rich data that ILSA can provide will help frame relevant and important insights as we strive to regain educational ground that has been lost during the crisis. ILSA data may also disclose further inadequacies and inequities in our education system as we shift from conventional schooling to distance learning modalities. As the implementation of the K-12 program is underway, continued participation in PISA will provide sufficient data to establish our baselines in relation to global standards and benchmark the effectiveness of our reforms. Furthermore, the ILSA results, along with our own assessments and studies, will provide evidence-based program management for system-level planning, monitoring, and evaluation with assessment data as critical inputs. However, DepEd is keeping its option open on the decision to join the PISA 2022 due to the ongoing pandemic. One of the department's initiatives based on the results of PISA is the Professional Development Program on Assessment and Emerging Literacies with focus on PISA. Its aim is to improve teachers' assessment literacy and content knowledge to help them align their classroom practice with the emerging literacies measured by international assessments. The Professional Development Program on Assessments and Emerging Literacies with focus on PISA aims to improve teachers' assessment literacy and content knowledge in order to develop reading, math, and science literacy of junior high school students. The next slide shows us the enabling objectives of this professional development program, which is to improve teachers' basic assessment literacy, introduce emerging literacies in math, science, and reading, integrate emerging international directions in classroom assessment, practice, and interventions, assess teachers' content knowledge in reading, math, and science in order to inform the direction of future cycles of the professional development program. The first cycle of this program aims to cater to English, science, and math teachers in the 9,344 public junior high schools nationwide. English, science, and math teachers from 6,034 private junior high schools nationwide may also participate in the program. And according to USEC Nepomuceno Malaluan, this is not a trainer's training. This is not a cascading scheme. The other teachers could be subsequent participants in the training until the total number of teachers is covered. So the professional development and assessment includes 5 modules, and these are the following. Module 1 is on review of assessment in learning. Module 2 would be the assessment of learning in DepEd, which is to be facilitated by the Bureau of Education Assessment. Third is the Philippine K-12 curriculum and the ILSA. Module 4 is the adapting assessment principles and practices to the emerging literacies. Fifth is to monitor application of assessment practice in the classroom setting. Quality assurance through monitoring and evaluation. Quality assurance through monitoring and evaluation is necessary in all systems and processes in order to sustain continuous and excellent outcomes. In this case, learning outcomes among Filipino learners. Hence, to achieve success and standards in this system-wide assessment, there should be alignment or coherence of understanding in terms of curriculum, instruction, assessment, policies, and practices among and across various levels of implementation, national, region, division, district, and school levels. Indeed, learning outcomes are critical indicators of program effectiveness and system efficiency across DepEd's different levels of governance. It is crucial to utilize system assessment results for its purposes such as designing programs, providing technical assistance, and preparing school improvement plans. System assessment data are crucial accountability measures of DepEd to the learners, its stakeholders, and the public. In closing, let me quote Ms. Carol Tomlinson: assessment is today's means of modifying tomorrow's instruction. A pleasant afternoon to all. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Director Nelia Benito, sa mga mahalagang bagay na inyong ibinahagi sa araw na ito. Punong-puno ng kaalaman hinggil sa pangkasalukuyang kalagayan ng assessment sa ating bansa ang aming natutunan at naniniwala kami na mas lalo pang nakita ng ating mga manonood kung gaano lamang kalaki ang papel ng national at international assessment na makakaimpluwensya sa pagsulong ng makalidad na edukasyon. Muli, ikinagagalak namin na kayo'y naging kabahagi ng DepEd Teaches bilang mahusay na tagapanayam. Para sa ating mga taga-subaybay, patuloy lamang po tayo na magbahagi ng inyong mga natamong kabatiran at kaalaman sa araw na ito. Sa inyo po lamang mga Facebook personal page o Twitter account, gamitin lamang ang ating hashtag ISupportDepEdTeaches at hashtag DepEd Teaches Episode 34.
Muli, ipinapaalala namin sa mga aming masugid na taga-subaybay, para po tayo makatanggap ng Certificate of Appearance, mahalagang nagpatala po tayo sa ating registration. At makikita din natin ang QR code na pwede ninyo pong i-scan. Siguraduhin lamang po na tama ang spelling at gayon din po ang email address para matanggap po ninyo ang inyong Certificate of Appearance. At para po makatanggap ng Certificate of Participation, ito ang huling paksa ng tema natin sa buwan na ito ng Agosto, ay kailangan naman ninyong maipasa ang maikling evaluation o pagtataya kaugnay sa mga mahalagang talakayan na ating napakinggan mula nung episodes 31 hanggang sa episode na ito, episode 34. Ang evaluation po natin ay bubuksan mamayang alas 5 ng hapon. Muli, paalala namin, para makatanggap ng Certificates of Appearance at Participation, kailangan makasagot sa registration at maipasa ang evaluation na bubuksan mamayang alas 5 ng hapon. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng nanood sa araw na ito. Inaasahan namin ang inyong patuloy na pagtangkilik at pagsuporta dito lamang sa DepEd Teaches.
Sa ngalan ng Curriculum and Instruction Strand, sama-sama tayo sa pagsusulong at pagpapaikding ng makalidad na edukasyong panglahat tungo sa pagtatamo ng mithiing pambansang karunungan at kaunlaran. Maraming salamat at naway magkita-kita tayong muli sa susunod na Webes dito lamang sa DepEd Teaches. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.